Hello there, people of the internet. So this is my day 3 with CHAPMAN Ghost Red guitar. But it's not about CHAPMAN guitar today. I mean, the very beginning of this video is about CHAPMAN guitar because I have learned quite a few things yesterday when I was browsing the internet and I was looking about I've been looking at people's opinion about the balance of the ghost thread, but I don't know, I just found some new information, and what I have learned, I think I know why my ghost thread was cheaper than it is right now, because I've paid for it 3,200 zloty and now it costs 3,900 zloty. So yeah, it's 700 more expensive now, and they either send me the copy which was really light body, heavy neck, which results in a all mixed up balance. This is why my guitar shifts to a horizontal position, and they bump up the price because the last two guitars are better balanced. It might be the case, it might be because only two guitars are left in their warehouse. I don't know, I don't care. The thing is, I was talking about the placement of the strap button in the back. Actually, the earlier models had the strap button right here. This is newer design. It's somewhere after 2017 when they have switched from the button at the back of the guitar to the wing, because it resulted in a better. Actually, wait a second. Yeah, it resulted in a better balance than the button in the back, on the back, which is quite surprising, because for me personally, I've been playing with my Gibson SG. I've been playing with my Gibson SG, and I totally love that strap button in the back, and the guitar balance really amazingly. It sits on my body, perfectly. But I've learned that some people had problems with their SGs with the strap button in the back. So I was confused. I thought SG design with that strap button on the back is like a superior design, but some people have written on the forums that they had problem with balance with their SGs, and I was like, what? Then I have learned that some people don't like buttons in the back, the guitars shift forwards like so, they can't see the fretboard or whatever, but it got me thinking that maybe that button in the back of my ghost thread wouldn't fix the problem at all, maybe it would still shift because of the less density in the wood on the body. But anyway, the finish is amazing, I love it. And the neck might be more dense, the structure of the wood, and might be heavier, because my guitar is really, really light, and if you have a light guitar, it means your neck, there's a bigger probability that your neck's gonna be heavier than the body, right? So it's gonna pull your guitar to the horizontal position. So I don't know, I have no idea if Guitary.pl send me the copy which balances really bad, which is neck heavy. It might explain why there is a paint scratch mark right here. Maybe someone, you know, tested it, how it balances on the body, you know, and they marked it like, I don't know, and then maybe this is the guitar which, you know, has a balancing problem. So I don't know, but there were like 4 copies of Ghost Threads in on Kitari, kitari.pl. Someone bought one, I bought another one, and then the price, you know, got bumped up. So maybe they had 2 bad copies, maybe they changed the price because, you know, for some different reasons. Doesn't really matter. What matters is I thought that, you know, the strap button at the back, on the back of the guitar, is a you know, cure for the wrong balance, you know, to keep your guitar really in a nice position. But it turns out people still have got problem with, even though they have their strap buttons on the back of the guitar. So I'm confused, you know, I'm confused. I really don't know. So yeah, okay. There were even someone also bought a guitar from Rob directly, his prototype of Ghost Thread, and that prototype had like, I don't know, I think 7 different strap button mounted to the guitar, because it was a prototype. They were, you know, experimenting to find the perfect balance, and actually the actual owner said that this position right here is the best. And I'm really puzzled, because if you go to the Chapman guitars and you go for their, you know, like a highest, most prestigious guitars, which are British standard. Where is British standard? There we go, British Standard Series, which is like, you know, the most premium level of the guitar. And the Ghost Thread, where's the guitar? The Ghost Thread has the button in the back, but I've seen Rob himself said something like, that's weird because those guitars, he was talking about Ghost Threads, should balance, you know, perfectly. Obviously it's a BS, it's a lie, because many people, and I would bet all my guitars that most people got problems with their Ghost Thread. So it's a BS, okay? Maybe a few people, because there were also people who were saying that they don't have that balancing problem. So I bet there are people that, you know, got their guitar where the wood is, you know, heavier at the body and the neck is lighter, which results in a good balance, right? Which would be amazing. But, you know, I know from experience then, I have been struggling with my Telecaster before, and I had like 4 different guitars, 3 American Standard series, which were all different. And there was always something of, either it was a finish, you know, some marks, or string bars only on one string. I don't know, there was always something. So even if I'm gonna send back and order another Ghost Thread, first of all, I'm gonna have to pay more money for it, which I don't really wanna do. I don't have any guarantee I'm gonna get a model that will actually, you know, sit perfectly on my body, and there's too much hassle, okay? So there's another thing. Here's another thing. There's a Gibson Explorer 2017 THC model, which I have not seen before, which is weird because I've been eyeing all heavy guitars, I mean the Explorer type guitars with case included, price low to high, and there it is. It hasn't been here before because Epiphone Lizzie Hale Explorer was the only one with the similar price range of my Ghost Thread, right? But now Gibson Explorer made in USA doesn't really mean a thing, because my Gibson Les Paul has a little problem. SG, as much as I love it, wasn't ideal. I mean, there's some nut on the input jack was loose. The knobs, tone and volume knobs are really loose, but I still love this guitar. It's one of the best I have, in my opinion. And yeah, this peg is this washer and this it's not a bolt, it's nut is quite loose. I haven't tried, you know, using like a torque wrench, like a proper tool to push it and try to get into a fret, but it's a little bit loose over here. You know, the A string at the A string, you can't intonate it when you go lower than 46 string gauge. So even USA made Gibsons, they don't, you know, mean really much in terms of quality, but the price is almost the same I've paid for my Ghost Fret, you know, and it's a Gibson. It's like a well-known brand, made in USA, including case. The thing is, it's gonna be in stock within 7 to 8 weeks, you know. I can wait, but I don't have that much time, you know. I have to make a decision with what to do with this guitar. Plus, it might sound better, not, you know, it's not a sure thing, but it might sound better. There's a nice button placement at the back. I like the shape of the guitar. It's an Explorer original, you know, original brand that came up with Explorer style guitars. But actually I like, you know, Ghost Fret. I mean, they look almost the same, but the colors of my Ghost Fret, I don't know, there's something about that guitar that it's more, you know, it just suits me better, I guess. So I don't know. I think it all comes to I mean, by the way, I've also learned that people try to fight with that, you know, balance problems. They were, you know, like sewing some diving ways onto their belts, filling some compartments with lead to make it heavier, body heavier. I don't know, there are many different, I mean, not many different ways, but there is no ideal, you know, like a third strap to hold the neck, somewhere around pickup and the neck joint. There's no ideal, you know, oh my god, answer to this problem. So it all comes to one thing and one thing only. Can I play it with a neck, you know, diving all the time? If I can, it's a matter of do I want to fight? Do I want to, you know, be angry with me that I kept the guitar? Or is it a problem for me? If I can play it, you know, I'm gonna have to, you know, change the style of how I, you know, play the guitar a little bit. But if I can play everything, you know, it's a decision I have to make on my own. Do I, you know, is it such a problem that I wanted to... Jesus, get to the point, Chani boy. It all comes to the one thing. If it's gonna, you know, make me... if it's gonna stop me from playing, you know, because I wouldn't be able to do something, I won't be able to do some hand movement because of the wrong balance, it's an easy call. You have to get, you know, out of my home, and I'm gonna have to look for something else. But if I can do it, and it's like, you know, yeah, it's less comfortable because I have to hold the neck all the time, but it's, you know, manageable, I can do it, and it's a little discomfort, then, you know, I'm gonna have to decide if this discomfort, it's something I can live with. So, yeah. I have no idea what to expect, you know, obviously. If I had another guitar with a strap button at the back, I could compare how it feels like, and how it behaves. But also, you know, the very same guitar might have different wood density in different parts. So it might be the very same, the guitar, and the balance might be different, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna change strings today. I'm gonna change to my strings 9 to 46. So I'm gonna have 3 treble strings lighter a notch. And I was thinking about lowering the string action as well, but I might leave it like so for now, because if the tension will be, you know, there will be less tension on my treble strings, maybe the neck will straighten a little bit and it will pull all the strings, you know, a little bit lower. So I'm gonna leave it for 2-3 days, and then I'm gonna try and lower the string action. Other than that, I need to play it as much as I can, you know, just to be sure what to do with it. So yeah, I'm gonna change all my strings today. I'm gonna see how the tuning packs works, how the locking mechanism works, because someone mentioned that the locking pins inside those pegs are really, you know, fragile looking thin pieces of metal, you know, and that's true. Actually, you know, that also got me worried because as you can see, probably you can't, but this screw, wait a second, this screw which goes into the locking tuner, the one that you lock your keys with, I mean this one right there, it's a very tiny looking, there's not enough light here, but it's a really tiny screw, you know, going right through the whole guitar head, and it's an open tuning key, so maybe every tuning key looks like this, but I doubt it. I doubt it, because you can see clearly how thin this little metal is inside this peg, and I can easily compare it to my SG ones, which are quite massive, you know. Maybe. Anyways, you know, I think I worry too much. So yeah, lots of playing, Channy boy, lots of playing, so you can make up your mind. But this Gibson Explorer is really something that, you know, doesn't let my mind, you know, be calm, because for the very same price I can get a well-known branded guitar with the better button placement, but I can't be sure of that balance, you know. I'm not gonna have locking tuners, it's okay. I'm not gonna have stainless steel frets. So yeah, a little trade-off. Plus, I don't know if this guitar, I'm gonna have to message Thomann and ask them if the guitar is really coming, or it's some you know, mistake on the side, because the price is really good, and yeah, and it's an old 2017 model. You can't get them anywhere anymore, so that's weird. Why is Thomann getting them? Okay, so yeah, I might, you know, send my ghost thread back, and I might you know, get some Gibson which is faulty, or I don't know. Never mind. So today I'm changing the strings. I'm gonna take a closer look at the nut. Probably, I mean, I can't really tell if the grooves are all right. The only way I could tell the nut is really good, I mean in terms of the slots, is if I would have put 8 string gauge inside this nut and see how the guitar behaves, you know, because almost all guitar right here, this guitar has original 46 to 9 string gauge strings on it, but it had 8s and it had problem. The nut slots were amazing, no problem here, but I I wasn't able to intonate one guitar string. This guitar, with this very same nut, had 11 gauge strings on it. Now it has 8, and there is no problem either with intonation or, you know, slots being too wide or too narrow. 11s and 8 sit perfectly on this guitar, so that's a Japanese, you know, precision and everything. The quality is like, what? Same goes with here. We've got 46 to 9s, 46 to 9 gauge strings, but there were also 11s here and 8s, and no problem at all with the nut. Same goes here. 8s were here, 11s were here, 42 9s were here, and I think now there is 46. Yeah, I think, actually I don't know. Wait a second. Actually, those are 8s here. I'm pretty sure those are 8s. Yeah, those are 8s. I think so. Bloody hell. And yeah, I think those are 8s, 8s, and 8s, because I was so sure I'm gonna install 8s on all of my guitars, and actually Les Paul stopped me because I couldn't get this one particular 8 string intonated, so it you know, it wouldn't let me relax my mind, you know, because there was this one guitar which was badly intonated. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, I like the percussive feel of the bass strings, you know, that they're high tension. I can really, you know, punch those strings with my pick, and I really like it. And with 8s, you really have to be careful because, yeah, you don't have that pressure on your strings, even with standard E tuning. There's not enough tension to really, you know, have fun punching your strings harder. Okay, I think this is it. I'm gonna cut the video right here because it was like, you know, not really string related, and I'm gonna record another episode about strings, because the courier left me a package yesterday. He actually threw it over the fence and left it like so. Like that, and there are probably my Rotosound British strings 9 to 46, because I have decided this is the string gauge I'm gonna use. You know, it's a I can punch the bass strings, I can bend the treble strings, and you know, it's like a mixed bag of two worlds, you know, heavy and light kind of way, which suits my personality, which is, you know, a little bit bipolar. So but before they came to me, I've already thought about, you know, going back to 8s, because my Telecaster, I just hate that thing, you know, and Telecaster and Stratocaster, I don't know what's wrong with those guitars, but I don't know, anything thicker than 42s feels really uncomfortable to play on, you know. I know it's a larger, you know, longer scale, I know this, but I don't have this problem with my Ibanez Prestige. I don't know what it is, if it's the bridge or the nut, I have no idea, okay? But yeah, this guitar, it actually made me, start switching strings on the rest of the guitars, because actually I'm gonna tell you about the strings and why I have started switching strings on my guitars, because these guitars actually made me want to, you know, switch strings, change strings, okay? Because this was terrible to play, action really high, hard to bend, and this was like a, you know, it was perfect. Low string action, the bends were super easy, the guitar just played like butter, you know. So this guitar made me to change it, because it played so well, and this played so terribly hard and uncomfortable, and yeah, So I have checked the string gauge on this guitar, and this is how all the change started, basically, with all my guitars. I haven't touched Gibson Les Paul and Gibson SG. They had factory strings all the time, which were 9 to 46, which I'm gonna be probably using those 9 to 46 on all of my guitars, but I've never wanted to change those strings. Only recently I've changed to 42 to 9s, so the bass strings got a little bit thinner, but I guess I'm gonna talk about this in another video about the strings. Okay, let's go and unbox. The hell is unbox, Chan? Let's go and unbox rotor strings. There we go. Let's go and unbox the package, which came from Kitare.pl again. They have this cool thing about, they offer the best price. If you find better price somewhere else and you message them, they will actually, make the same price or even better. So this is what I did. I found a really nice price at some dodgy Polish shop, and I actually messaged Kitare.pl, and they've made, same price. So I've ordered a bunch of 9 to 46. Why I have ordered that much? Because I had no idea what else could I order. Where's my package? What the hell? There it is. Because I wanted to have, free shipping, and yeah, I just had to reach this particular sum of money to get that free shipping. And actually I have ordered, I don't know, like 15 sets of strings. So yeah, so this is what came yesterday. GLS audio partner, which is Kitare.pl. Let's open it up. Oh, there's lots of rotor sounds in there. Actually, I'm not gonna wash my hand just yet. Lots of rotor sounds, and there are hybrids. This I haven't used any rotor sound strings in this gauge before. I've used 11s and 8s, and I can't say anything bad about them. Actually, I can say, oh my god, there's so many strings in here. I can start my own shop now. The funny thing is, I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna stay with 9 to 46, which is quite ridiculous, but you can never be sure with my mind, because one day I'm like, oh my god, I'm keeping this guitar, it's amazing. The other day I wake up and I was like, what? It sounds like crap. It's bad, it plays horrible. What were you thinking, And after a few days, I'm back in the same, way, like, oh my god, I'm gonna keep this guitar, it's amazing. And same goes with the string gauge and everything else in my life. I can't really, be constant about anything, because I don't know. Oh, that's a lovely looking package. Nice British strings. I love British stuff. So might be one of the reasons I'm gonna keep my CHAPMAN guitar. I mean, it's not from England, it's not made in England, but it's still, the company is owned by a British guy, and yeah, there is some British aura about the whole thing. So it might be one of the reasons. Okay, so 9 to 46. Okay, I really didn't want to go this route this way because what exactly, Chan? Because the bass strings 46, 36 and 26, it's as a standard, right? So I've been playing with standard because all my guitars had standard strings on them, except for the white lady, white dame. Never mind. White Stratocaster, my white Stratocaster, which had 42 to 9s, I believe. So I didn't want to go back here, and 9, you know, the treble strings part. It was okay. I didn't have anything against it, but this, I mean, I knew it might be a little bit too stiff, especially on the Telecaster, so I didn't want to go back this way. But actually, the whole experience of changing strings from I've started to, because I really wanted to have that, you know, a powerful sound, the fat sound, and I finally, you know, managed to push myself and order 11s and put it on my Black Widow guitar, which is Ibanez Prestige, yeah, this is how it all started, you know, and I have learned a few things I would like to share with you guys, because I've been through lots of 8s, lots of 9s. Actually, I have those are normal, yeah, 9 to 42. Those are hybrids, and this is, you know, like the thickest strings I have played on. And to be honest, I don't think I'm gonna go back to 11s. Don't get me wrong, I loved the experience and the ability to really, you know, put my emotion in playing 11s, because you can punch those strings, you can punch the hell out of them, and they always sound good. I mean, like, you can't get them out of tune, I think. Yeah, they are hard as hell to bend, but actually I had my fingers in the first day of playing on those, because I've been pushing them way too hard, you know, trying to overcompensate the tension. It was way too much force being applied on my fingers, and actually something inside of tip of my fingers, actually it was so painful. I could barely play, you know, normal gauge strings or touch the finger because it was aching inside. But you know, 2 days after that incident, it actually felt, you know, pretty normal. They were still very hard to bend, but you know, I could really withstand the pressure on my tip of the fingers. Obviously, my tip of the fingers went a little bit harder, but it was okay, you know, it wasn't uncomfortable anymore. Roto Orange hybrids. I've never played hybrids by Roto Sound. I've been using Ernie Balls hybrids, which are sitting on my Telecaster and Gibson Les Paul right now. And I didn't have more, because I have ordered those strings ages ago, when I was, you know, starting to fiddling with strings on my guitars, and I knew that Gibson SG as well as Les Paul traditional, my guitars, both Gibson guitars, were using 9 to 46, alright? So I have ordered those strings just in case I'm gonna finally decide to change my factory strings. So I had only 2 packs of hybrids, which are already sitting on my Telecaster and Gibson Les Paul. Okay, so I don't know how exactly Roto Orange feels like, but I bet they feel, and they are great strings, because I've been using R8s, not these. And R11s, and I love both, you know, those strings. I really love them for different reasons. These I was thinking about, you know, going a step, you know, higher, or should I say lower, because it's never mind, you know, another level up to a bit thicker strings from 8s. But I wasn't sure, so I have ordered only 2 packets along with some other things, just in case I would like to try them out. But yeah, okay, so we've got, so it should be like so. I'm gonna put this on the side. We don't need that much right here. So where's standard? I'm missing standard strings. What's going on? Oh no, I don't have standard gauge, which is 10 to 46 in my collection. Bloody hell. I thought I'm gonna have, you know, like 8, 9s, hybrids, 10s and 11s. There's no way. Actually, I'm gonna take all this and check, but yeah, I'm missing 10s, which are yellow, I believe, from Rotosound. Yeah, I definitely don't have 10s, because as far as I remember, they are yellow. Okay. Sorry for the sound, my throat starts not aching, but itching, yeah. I'm allergic. I used to be allergic, but I still got some traits of allergy. Yeah, I don't have 10 to 46. Okay, so let's go back to the very beginning of the story. This was my first guitar. It came with 10 to 46, you know, standard gauge strings. It was alright, blah 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 blah. And one day I remember grabbing one of my students' guitar, which was acoustic guitar, and his neck, the neck of the guitar, felt so weird. I couldn't play anything. I mean, it was I think it was like after 1 year of learning, of my learning to play the guitar. So I remember I wanted to play something. I couldn't, you know, come up with any melody I knew in my head. The neck felt all wrong, and that was the time when I have decided I want to, you know, be able to play on any guitar I'm gonna get into my hands. And this is how the whole journey started. I remember ordering some Taylor GS acoustic guitar because, you know, I wanted to be able to play on different guitars, not only on my, you know, chosen one. So acoustic guitar was okay, but I didn't feel alright because it was really fragile, you know how acoustic guitars are. So I have sent it back. And then there were like Jim Root, Signature Telecaster, ESP Eclipse, some other guitars, never mind. I had finally came to White Widow, Black Widow. This is like, is there a word, dame? Because actually I've called it, yes, actually I called it White Dame, Black Widow, White Dame, White Lady, and this guitar came, you know, it was like this is black, this is white, you know, like yin yang kind of thing, and yeah, and it was amazing, you know, it was amazing. It was totally different, different pickups, different shape, different feel to it. Everything was amazing. The string action was blah blah blah. It was perfect, okay? And I believe there were 42 to 9, the default strings, which the guitar came with. And then I think I wanted Telecaster, you know? And actually I've been buying Telecaster for a longer while because I couldn't get my hands on a guitar that didn't have any flaws. You know, there was always something wrong. Buzzing frets, might be my, you know, mistake in judgment because I didn't know much. I still don't know much, but yeah. Anyway, this guitar stayed with me. I hate it. I hate it because this black knob falls off. There is a piece of paper stuck inside of this white black plastic, and you know, stuck on the metal kind of thing to keep it nice and tight. But I hate this guitar, you know, I hate it from the very start, but I have decided I'm gonna keep it, you know, because I can't really pinpoint any faults except for the little worn out pickup surface. I don't know, it came like this from the shop. I remember I haggled the price down a little bit because of this, and some little scratches on this pickup cover, and this knob was falling, which I didn't even mention when I was haggling. Anyway, I hate this guitar. I mean, I still hate it because it's so hard to play. I have no idea why it is. The only strings which actually are okay are 42 to 9s and even lower, okay? So I've got 46 to 9 at the moment on it because I really wanted to make sure this guitar won't, you know, throw me to an exchange again, because it's gonna be so uncomfortable to play. And to be honest, I'm still struggling, you know, I'm still trying to press those strings way too hard. There's something, you know, off-putting me with this guitar. But it's a great guitar, you know. The stability of the tuning just keeps, you know, it just... First of all, it's a low output guitar, so I have this feeling that there's something missing in my sound all the time with this guitar, because I don't know, it might be faulty pickups. I have no idea, I just hate this guitar, but I can't really, you know, get to the point that I'm selling it, okay? Because it plays, right? It keeps its tuning perfectly, and I know that there are some low output pickups as well, so yeah, I was trying to save this guitar, you know, because I think it came with 46 to 10, like a normal gauge string, and it's supposed to be same as other Fender 42 to 9s. So this guitar, you know, and this guitar, this played so well. It was so, you know, easy to play because of the low string action, lighter gauge string, and this was like horrible higher action string. I don't mess with truss rod adjustment. I leave it like the last thing to do, you know, on my guitars, and so far I didn't have to do anything. You know, I just overcompensate with my fingers. Anyway, where was I? So those two guitars made me start changing strings, you know. I would never done it. I mean, I would have to do it at one point, but yeah, this guitar pushed me, you know, to finally make something about it, so I don't hate it that much, because it was so uncomfortable to play. The sound was always too weak to my taste, you know. It's just, this is how the pickups sound. When I put 11s on this guitar, you can imagine it was hell to play, you know. It was hell to play, but I was punching the hell out of this guitar. I mean, I was plucking those strings so hard I could, you know, throw all those bad emotions at the guitar, and it was withstanding it perfectly. So yeah, so I've started changing strings. I've never changed strings when this guitar came, because it felt so perfect. I mean, everything, even though the action was quite high, it was so easy to play because of the shorter scale, Gibson scale, and it had 46 to 9s. It was perfect, okay? Same goes with Les Paul. There was a little buzz, but, you know, the guitar sounded amazing, and it was perfect, okay? So I had never thought about changing the string gauge on those guitars, but at one point I wanted to have, which is totally irrational because of different neck scale, the tension will be still different, but I wanted to, you know, have all guitars that will play so beautifully and easy as my White Dame right here, you know, 42 to 9 string gauge, you know, even on the Fender guitar neck scale, it was, you know, pure pleasure to play. The sound was punchy and everything. And then I have started changing strings, you know. First I've changed strings to Telecaster on my Telecaster, and it was straight away, you know, nicer to play on. And then I don't remember if I've changed. Yeah, I think I've changed on my Gibson Les Paul, and that was the time when I have noticed that my Gibson, it might be strictly all in my head, but I was quite sure that my Gibson lost its punch, you know? There was something missing in the sound, and then I have connected two dots, and it was because of going a little, lighter on the gauge string, because we had 46 on the bass strings, and I've came down to 42, you know, just to make every guitar having the same string gauge, which is, you know, totally irrational because of a different scale length. But yeah. And I start noticing that something's missing in this particular guitar, you know? There was lacking this punch, lacking this bass response. But yeah, I was like, it's probably nothing, and I have started changing, I think I've changed 42s here as well. I've kept my SG with original strings, 46 to 9s, like to the very end. That was the last guitar where I've messed around with different string gauges, because it always felt so perfect that it was like, why would I change anything about it if it feels so perfect? You know, like string gauge feels like balance, and everything was perfect about this guitar, except for some minor quality checks like loose knobs and loose nut on the input jack. Where was I? And I've changed, you know, regular 10 to 46 strings to 42 to 9s. And I believe I've started to notice, I noticed that the bass, which was lacking in my Les Paul, came to this guitar as well. And I was like, what? It can't be true. But yeah, there was something missing about the guitar, which I, was used to. Same goes with Les Paul. Okay, so this guitar then forced me to actually change the strings to 11s, because I was missing the punchiness, the bass response, because of the lighter bass strings, you know. So I wanted to finally try, because I've been reading a lot about, how thicker strings can make your guitar. Actually, you know what, guys, it might be longer than I expected, so I'm gonna have to connect. I'm gonna have to connect charger, because once my battery dies, I really don't want to stop now. So I'm gonna charge some spare batteries for my camera. Okay. Just a little bit patience, please, because I think I'm getting to the point. I can save you some money, guys, because I don't expect most people would be so stupid as I was and order packs of guitar strings in bunch without really being sure what string gauge you really want to play on. There we go. Plus, where's plus? There's plus. There we go. Okay. So I can start rumbling again, I guess. Just gonna put it here. Okay, so I was missing the bass. I was missing this particular thing I have lost when I have switched my strings to one level, lower gauge string. So I'm gonna just, illustrate it to you. Actually, I can't because I'm missing tens. I'm gonna have to find some tens. Do I have some tens? Oh, here we go. We've got some slinkies left, which I've never used because, I switched to nines, regular nines. So this guitar came with nines. It was really beautiful to play, etc. This was my first guitar. Came with tens, regular string gauge. This guitar played so well that I have actually. Oh, this guitar came, and this came with, I believe, tens. and it was horrible to play, hard to play, and I wanted every guitar to feel like this one, so I've changed the strings here, and I liked it because it was easier to play, the sound was still there, so I have changed. Wait, I kept 10s here because I wanted this guitar to have heavier strings because, you know, it's a metal guitar and stuff like that. So then this guitar came, yeah, and it had 9 to 46, you know. Actually, Gibson SG had as well 9 to 46, you know, and for a longer while I kept those guitars, factory strings. I didn't want to mess around with, you know, Gibson was, I just didn't want to, you know, it seemed fragile or something. I didn't want to mess with the strings, so I kept the factory strings. But after a while, you know, having those 9s there, having 9s there, I wanted to, all my guitars have 9s, you know, I wanted this 1 gauge string on all of my guitars. So I've changed to 9s. Then I've noticed the loss of bass on the, you know, in the sound. And it could be strictly in my mind, you know, but I felt something. After a while, I have also switched from 10s to 9s here, and surprisingly, I've noticed the loss of this, you know, vigorous, of this punchiness in the sound as well. And it was okay, you know, I was getting bored, you know, I was practicing every single day, but I was missing this something that was lacking in my guitar, which, you know, I've never noticed before. So I thought, I don't want to go back to, you know, 10s again. So why not finally check what those people are talking about, you know, thicker gauge strings, they sound so full and blah blah blah. Okay, but people were using higher gauge strings with alternate tuning, so the string tension was actually lighter. And I play only in standard E because I'm still learning. I don't know a lot. So I'm still in, you know, standard tuning, and I've put 11s on my Ibanez. And you know what? I fell in love. I fell in love so much that I have decided, oh my god, I'm gonna change all the strings on my guitars to 11s. Because what? Because first of all, the punchiness of palm muting, I can press, you know, the palm of my hand on the strings really hard, and I can, you know, just jog, 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 jog all those strings all day long, and the percussive sound was just punching out of the guitar. I love the feeling. Now the real problem came a little bit, you know, short after that, when I started bending strings, and it was impossible, okay? The treble strings were so, you know, high tensed, and my fingers actually, you know, the string was actually slipping off my fingers. I couldn't get the traction on the strings because the tension was so high, you know, in a standard E. There was lots of dreading because, you know, everyone was saying if you go to 11s or thicker gauge strings, your nut slot won't fit, and yeah, it was like a real you know, deal breaker for me because I don't touch, you know, anything on my guitars. I'm afraid to adjust thrust rod and stuff like that. The changing string gauge and, you know, intonating guitar, that's as far as I go. So, you know, finding myself not being able to fit guitar strings in the nuts really frightened me at first. But I have, you know, decided to go for it, and actually 11s, you know, without any problems, got into the slots on my Ibanez, on my Stratocaster, on my Fender, and sometimes the string really sit on top of the slot, not fully in, you know. There were 11s here, 11s here, 11s here, this wasn't even here. I've never put 11s on Les Paul, and I've never put 11s on Gibson SG because there were, you know, those strings were here, you know, this guy was lacking this bass, but I wasn't, you know, playing on it. This felt always, actually, what yeah, this guitar always felt so perfect. I was like, I'm gonna be messing with this guitar, like, you know, at the very end of the whole change I'm doing on all other guitars, because I don't want to mess with something that's so perfect, you know. So yeah, so 11's here, you know. I've loved it. One thing I have noticed straight away, except for that, you know, percussive sound when you're palm muting your strings, is that the volume bump, you know. My standard presets, you know, this is like my benchmark machine. My standard presets sounded a little bit distorted more and muffled, you know. The thickness of the string actually bumped up the signal output, or I don't know, but it was a little bit more overdriven. The sound was a little bit more overdriven. It was more bassier. Yeah, it was muddy, a little bit more muddy as well, but you know, to hell with it. I could just punch those strings. I remember when I have finally started, you know, to be able to bend those strings, it was so amazing, because I could pull, you know, I put my whole you know, strength into bending those strings. When I could, you know, vibrate those strings, do a vibrato, just a little tiny bit. I was so happy I'm bending the string. Yeah, I could, you know, just chuck those strings with such power, and it was amazing, you know, it was amazing. And one of the songs came up when I had to actually bend two strings at the same time with that finger over here, and I had to, I'm gonna have to, you know, you have to imagine my hand is like so, and I had to bend those two strings, pushing my finger, you know, on top, and pushing them, you know, bending them. And that's where the complication started, you know. It was hot, my fingers were sweaty, and the tension on those strings were so high, I wasn't able to bend those strings. No matter how hard I pushed my finger onto the fretboard and trying to bend those strings, the strings were just slipping on the surface of my finger. There was no traction, you know, because my hands were sweaty, the tension was too high. There was no way I'm gonna be able to bend those strings. And my, you know, beautiful dream about playing finally thick strings, you know, the whole bubble bursted. I think it's a regular verb, bursted. And then I, you know, start thinking, I won't be able to play 11s, you know. I might as well get them on the Les Paul because of the shorter scale, but I want the same gauge string on all over my guitar, so what am I gonna do, right? So yeah, I just left it, you know. I think then I've put 11s on Telecaster, played on Telecaster, because I knew that guitar was a nightmare to be played on regular 10s. So I'm gonna have to change 11s on this guitar just to make sure I can withstand the pain or discomfort with playing on 11s. But I was, you know, cheering myself up that you know, with time your finger's gonna get used to it, everything's gonna be alright. I don't even remember how the guitar sounded like, you know, because those pickups are really low input, but I think it sounded okay, you know. I've put 11s on Stratocaster because I wanted, you know, to switch my strings to one gauge on all of my guitars. And I remember when my bridge, my floating bridge, which was floating with 42 to 6 gauge strings, actually almost jumped out of the body, because the springs holding the bridge in a floating motion, you know, the tension of the springs in the back of the guitar wasn't enough to keep the bridge in the same position, and the 11 gauge string almost tore it, you know, from the body. And that was like the first you know, I knew I'm gonna have to block it somehow, but I wasn't sure how I'm gonna do it. And I remember I've put those 11s on the Stratocaster. The whole bridge, you know, moved to the, you know, from this angle, like floating one, to almost like this. And I was really scared that it's gonna, you know, tear this whole thing off. So I have actually screwed off the back of the plate, you know, cover plate. And I've taken a look inside the you know, the tremolo system, I don't know, but I didn't have any more springs, you know, to attach to the bridge to to put more tension to the bridge so it can float or just, you know, be blocked. I didn't have any springs because I wasn't planning on putting 11s so early on that Stratocaster, but yeah, I wanted to make that switch, you know, on all guitars, so I grabbed the guitar and I just started, you know, changing the strings to 11s, and it was too late, you know, my bridge came like so, and I've actually came up with rather, I don't know if it's smart or stupid, but I've actually put some material like a band tennis players, you know, keep on their hands so they can wipe the sweat off their foreheads. And this is what I have stuck in between the block of the bridge, which moves inside, and the base of the, you know, guitar wood. I just put it so, you know, tightly. I put it with my finger, with a screwdriver, I don't remember. I think I've used my finger only. But I've, you know, put it so tightly that the bridge wasn't able to move. And it's, you know, it's blocked, right? With a piece of cloth, soft material cloth, but it's so pushed against, you know, between the block that moves inside of the body and the wood that it can't just, it doesn't have any space to move. So even with 11s, the bridge sat, you know, strictly, you know, it was like a hard-tailed Stratocaster, okay? So I put 11s here. Obviously, once the bridge was, you know, in a flat position, it was blocked. The guitar's action, which was always very low with a floating bridge, the strings were almost touching. They are still almost touching. Sorry for the sound. Guitar neck, okay. The sound which 11 gauge strings make more punchier, more bassy, and it's more pronounced. There is more output from your pickups with thicker string gauge. Actually, the sound was, and I think it's still distorted because the strings are thicker, they are closer to the pickups, so actually the guitar was unplayable, but all it, you know, needed was a little bit of, you know, changing the height of the guitar bridge saddles. So, but I've never came to this point because, you know, I was busy with other guitars.